Sometimes, when I do favoritism or mistreatment themed videos, afterwards I also make a what if video of how I think the season would have gone had the said unfair positive or negative treatment of the queens not been present. Due to me just being tired of Drag Race a bit and wanting to do some more stuff, I postponed making that sort of video after the favoritism of Sherry, Gigi, Crystal and Jackie videos. That's actually only one of the reasons why this video is late. The other reasons include knowing I'll get yelled at by the fans of the said 4 queens, which I don't have the time for, but also just the title of the video I know would anger some people and I don't want to do that. The way that I named it when I originally wrote the rundown of this season is what if season 12 had consistently fair judging, but seeing the response from people pretending that they did not see how their favorites got better treatment for one reason or the other, I knew that yet again I would be yelled at, which I don't have the time for. That's why the video is titled What If I Judged Season 12 of Drag Race. And even though I do say what if I judged, I try to take my own personal feelings out of this. So no, this season will not just be dominated by Heidi and Jada. As with all of my other videos, I will give as clear and as concise of explanations for my decisions as possible. It really is up to you if you're going to listen actively or not. So let's get into this season. Episodes 1 and 2 don't have much change in them. We still get the 2 groups of queens, we get 2 pairs of top 2 queens, 2 winners, and all the rest are safe. Why just safe? Because there were no bottom 2 placements, so no low placements are present. The only difference is present with the second group of girls, where I swapped Sherry and Jan's placements. Why? Well, Sherry got critiqued for her outfit swallowing her up, and usually on Drag Race, these sort of critiques will land the queen in the bottom. But I guess for Sherry it was null and void. Why did Jan replace her? The girls were told to present themselves and show the judges all they could do, but for Jan, her only really negative critique was along the lines of, well, you didn't have to show us literally everything. And then they also had a problem that her performance was not as Fosse-esque, but more just show-offy Broadway. To paraphrase Trixie, is this a drag competition or are we at the post office? Episode 3's World's Worst brings us the first big shock of this video, which I know well enough will have many people either click off or dislike, or both. But the alternate universe truth hurts. What can I say? The teams are the same. Aiden, Sherry, Britta, Heidi, Jackie, Gigi, Widow, Nikki, Crystal, Jada, Jan, Dahlia, Rock. As this is the first group challenge, the girls are judged in groups, based on their original placements. First, the safe teams are Aiden's and Jada's team. Why Jada's and not Widow's? Well, because originally the placements of Widow's team are safe, bottom 2, low, while Jada's team was safe, safe, eliminated, safe. If we see cumulatively how many points the 2 groups got, Widow's sits at 6 while Jada's at 9, with individual members then having 2 and 2.25 respectively on average. So yes, Jada's team is safe. Heidi's team wins, with Heidi winning the Maxi Challenge. From Widow's team, given that she was the best of the 3 in the Maxi Challenge, she gets the low placement and Nikki and Crystal have to lip sync. Crystal, in the beginning of the competition, still did not completely enchant Rue with her mullet, nor did she come into her own, meaning she did not use her mullet to its full potential. I'm sorry to all of you 12-year-olds watching, but we have to say goodbye to Crystal. Episode 4 is the Ball episode. Gigi wins the mini challenge as she did originally. Here are some notes I wrote down for this episode. Firstly, I don't know if Dahlia can sew, but if you check her Instagram, you'll see that the looks she would have worn throughout the season were mostly really good. Next, while I know that Aiden was definitely kept a little longer in the competition just because everybody there but Heidi wanted to murder her, and for Drag Race producers drama equals good TV, and I know that everybody hates her on the internet for some reason, I cannot put her lower than safe because of all of Rockham's and Britta's looks, alongside Aiden's pretty interesting baseball or softball look. I don't know the difference, we don't have those here. Lastly, Gigi cannot win this challenge because of her last look. Why? Well, let's look at the original top 3. Take away balls or ball elements from Nikki's look, and you don't really have an outfit here. Take away balls from Gigi's look, and you still have an outfit here. Take away balls from Jada's look and you absolutely do not have an outfit here. Balls were an integral part of Jada's look and not accessories, as with Gigi's look. Imagine if, for example, during the hairball episode on season 3, Manila came out in a full look but just had some pieces of hair stuck to her outfit and then won the challenge. Wouldn't you call shenanigans? So why is it that people are rarely calling this win out for being not the most correct? Sure, Gigi made a garment that she later put those balls on, and yes, the girls can use the fabric provided to them in the workroom, but again, take away the balls and she still has an outfit, which, for the sake of consistency with all the other seasons, cannot give her the win. Which is why, yes, Jada gets the win here. The rest of the placements are mostly the same, with Dahlia still being present in the competition for the Gay's Anatomy episode, and based on her episode 3 showing, we know that she's not the best at acting challenges, and also that she's not the most active of a competitor. So we can deduce that she would get whichever role is left to her. So let's say Crystal's original role with Heidi. And this is what Dahlia would have worn on the runway. I believe that she would have been worse than Heidi in the challenge. Now, Sherry originally won this, but if you watched my favoritism of Sherry video, you would know that there is absolutely no way I can give her the win here, given the character she played, both as a part of the sketch and also as it was written, and just in general her lack of versatility and pandering to what Rue likes. Widow winning the Maxi challenge after not getting the role that she originally wanted is a much better story overall, which is exactly what is going to happen. 2 wins in just 4 competitive episodes for her. She should change her name to Window Fondue. Okay, my bad puns aside. First, the High Queens are sent away, those being Aiden, Gigi, Jackie, Jan, Sherry, and Widow. The rest are eligible to be safe, low, or in the bottom 2. This episode is the first of the season where Rue asks the girls, who should go home tonight? I believe that in this instance, it would have been between Nikki and Dahlia, given that Heidi by now had won a challenge, but Nikki, like she did originally, will shoot herself in the foot by saying her own name, and thus will have her losing the bottom 2 lip sync against Dahlia to a Dr. Luke supporter song, which, as we saw originally, Nikki could not fully embody, whereas Dahlia might have. If anything, Dahlia's sheer blind confidence would have kept her in the game. Episode 6 is the Snatch Game episode. On Dahlia's Watch a Packing episode, she said that her Snatch Game choices were Jeffree Star, Cardi B, and the ASMR Pickle Lady. RuPaul, still using dial-up internet probably, won't know who the ASMR Pickle Lady is. But being a problematic yet successful queer person means that he's very well aware of Jeffree Star. Plus, Dahlia's demeanor somewhat matches Jeffree's very well, and with Jeffree being her first choice, I think she would have definitely done him. Plus, Jada did Cardi, so I don't think Dahlia would have gone for her. Here are my notes for this episode. The Aiden vs. Britta storyline is present, with Heidi being sort of a side character that will later slay Britta. Next, even though she will win the episode for her Snatch Game, Gigi will get a suggestion from probably Michelle to change up her silhouette a bit. This will play a part in the later part of the season. And lastly, this is what Dahlia would have worn on the runway. The placements are more or less the same, with Dahlia just taking Crystal's original spot. Jeffree really is not that funny of a celebrity to impersonate, I would say. But hey, maybe there is someone out there that finds him funny. Episode 7 is Madonna the Rusical. This is where the second batch of 12-year-olds will leave once I don't give the win to Jan. Let's do the notes first. Dahlia, I think, would either get Crystal's or Heidi's role. Crystal's as a leftover, Heidi's as that's kind of the closest thing that I could see being similar to Dahlia, and then maybe she would have wanted it. Either way, since she had already struggled in her first episode, and just in general has barely been getting by, I don't see her doing well. However, this episode is reserved for the aforementioned Heidi vs. Britta lip sync battle, which takes Britta out of the competition. As Crystal was originally one of the 3 High Queens, one of the original saves gets her spot, and let's be real, that's Jada's spot. Why did I not give the win to Jan? In short, whenever they do these kinds of challenges, the judges want to see the queens channeling the celebrity, not being 100% like them, losing themselves in the process, which is exactly what Jan did. In the challenge, she was Broadway Madonna, which was never Madonna, And on the runway, she did Michelle's flight attendant look to a T, but also decided to wear those concussion football shoulder pads. Episode 8 is the Droop episode. This episode gives us the story of a couple of queens that never won a challenge. And in this scenario, those queens are Dahlia, Jackie, Jan, and Sherry. Jackie and Gigi win the mini challenge. Originally, this episode had 4 high and 4 low queens, but now without Crystal, we only have 3 queens that did well. So we will have 3 highs, 2 saves, and 3 lows. Let's go over the rest of the notes. First, Dahlia by this time would have probably been defeated, and with her kind of basic look on the runway, I don't see her being higher than bottom 2. Jackie did well, but not well enough for a win. Jan originally got eliminated here, so we can't really put her any higher than bottom 2. Sherry was bleh, though ironically she was the only one that answered the criteria of the challenge that the queens had to parody Goop. Gigi in this episode does not get criticized for her silhouette always being the same, given that she, alongside Sherry, is safe. Heidi wins with Jackie and Jada as high. Widow is just low, with Jan beating Dahlia in the bottom 2 lip sync, further pushing Jan towards her imminent elimination later on. Widow is only low because her look was more out of the box for her, compared to Dahlia's and Jan's looks, which were beautiful, but kinda basic. Episode 9 is the Choices 2020 episode. The mini challenge is won by Jackie. Since Jan is the only one whom we did not see do this challenge, based on her previous work, we can assume that she would do well. However, because of Britta's elimination, her not winning the rusical, and then being in the bottom 2 the episode after that, it's fair to say that she would have been quite frustrated, and that would have been her downfall. The notes I have for this episode are as follows. Firstly, Gigi, Sherry, and Jackie get called out for being repetitive, but the end result of these call-outs are different. Gigi gets the shortest end of the stick, given that she also gets called out for her runway look. The queens had to wear either a stars and stripes or a red, white, and blue look, and Gigi fully wore a British colonialist look. Yeah. Sherry gets minimal praise for stepping out of her shell for her look, which really is the only reason that saved her in the end here. Jackie does not end up in the bottom 2 at the end, even though Jeff and Rachel during the challenge told her not to repeat the same Canadian joke, and then she kept on repeating it. But yeah, she's not in the bottom 2 because the judges loved her look. So here are my results. Widow is high. Yes, high. She did almost exactly what Sharon Needles did on season 4 in the same challenge. Plus, her runway was a strong statement, so her original placement makes no sense as well. Gigi beats Jan in the bottom 2 lip sync, and Jada wins the maxi challenge. The makeover challenge is reserved for a double shantay, partially because the fans were there, and partially because of one of the queens that was in the bottom 2. Let's go over the notes that I have for this episode. First, Widow would have, in this scenario, most likely been paired up with Heidi's original partner. Given that Jada is the one pairing the queens with the fans, we know that she would try to make it as fair as possible and as easy as possible for everyone. Thus, Heidi either gets Crystal's original partner or maybe even Jackie's. In either case, she gets a fun girl that can fit into what she brought, which, based on her look from the makeover challenge originally, is probably another similarly stunning look. Since Widow was not originally part of the makeover episode, and since during her time on the show she was criticized for her looks here and there, this is how I believe the placements would have gone. Yes, Gigi in the bottom 2 again, because she brought from home 2 very lazy outfits. She was originally critiqued for the lack of a silhouette. Weirdly enough, she was not critiqued for being lazy, and every time beforehand in makeover challenges when we've had similar looks, similar to Gigi's meaning, those queens ended up in the bottom 2. So she's here now too. By this point in the competition, we know that Heidi's makeup had improved to the point where the judges did not question it anymore. And so, yeah, over Jackie's unoriginality in this episode, Gigi's laziness, and Widow's previously not always stellar showings on the runway, I think Heidi would have landed in a comfortable, safe position. The One Queen Show episode was a little bit of a doozy to figure out, but here are the basics. Sherry broke the rules of getting to perform for 5 minutes only, and performed for, 12 minutes or something? Either way, her not following the rules should have originally landed her in the bottom 2. Next, since throughout this new season Gigi had been critiqued for being extremely repetitive on the runway and in the challenges, and since she had cue cards which during a one-woman show, a stand-up routine, call it whatever, the performers should not have with them. But oh my god, on All Stars 5 they got to have their notes with them. Yeah, all of the competing queens did. That's how the challenge was planned out. That wasn't the case for this comedy challenge. And so, Gigi is, for the third episode in a row, in the bottom 2. Now, Widow is a funny queen, but throughout the competition we've seen her being in her head a lot. I imagine that, given the more personal note that this challenge had for some queens, Widow would be able to pull it out and be funny, but not win. Jackie wins the mini and the maxi challenge, and yeah, I marked Widow as high. Next, Jada is safe, Heidi low, and Gigi decimates Cherry in the bottom 2 lip sync. The top 5 episode is up next. Gigi in this episode gets most of her shine back, winning the mini challenge first and foremost. However, and based on how the original episode was, Jada still overall did the best, based on the judges' critiques. For the people that maybe have not seen the 2 videos mentioned in the beginning, in the top 5 episode, the queens got their placements based on their track records. However, if we're keeping it fair, based on the critiques, Jada should have won this, which now she does, because, again, keeping it fair, my dudes. Heidi in this episode will perform very well, but might get some shit for her looks. Widow as well. Jackie's story in this season by now will have been done, so there would be no need to have her in the top 4. And speaking of the top 4, let's go right into the finale. Here are the queens' track records. As you can see, Jada has the best track record, and in this scenario, she joins the ranks of Bianca on season 6 and Dela on All Stars 3 of never landing below safe. Mind you, she was really close to joining them on season 12, like how it actually happened, but we all know what happened. Assuming that the global pandemic is a thing in this universe as well, we would still have some sort of a lip syncing for the crowd, where Gigi films in the studio and breaks the rules, and we know that Jada could hold her own against Heidi and Widow well enough to win in the end. Really, if she makes it into the final lip sync, she wins. And since the queens can still vote for the queens in the top 4 for the Miss Congeniality title, Heidi still probably wins that too. So, yeah. No difference in the end result, which I know many people dislike. They go into these videos thinking that I'd have, I don't know, Dahlia winning the season and Aiden being the Miss Cuckoo or something. But this end result just proves us that Jada and Heidi get their wins in most outcomes of season 12, and I personally think that's exactly what we need. And that's it. That's the video. If you happen to have any comments, questions, or concerns, not of personal nature, we don't know each other, don't be intrusive, about this video, do DM me on Twitter or Instagram, and thank you for watching.